Greetings, gentlemen. Are you ready for another episode?
Get on with it.
Okay, Grumpy. Welcome back to Scared of the Dark. It's the show where we go over every episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? And today, we're going to be watching The Tale of Apartment 214.
Oh, nice. You're an expert in creepy apartments.
What's that supposed to mean?
You do have a room dedicated to housing a clown.
You're the clown! Do you want to live outside?
I do.
Anyway, The Tale of Apartment 214 is the story of a girl and her mom that move into a cheap apartment building when their next door neighbor is a little bit strange. And sure, we've seen it before, but have we seen it with a painting that redecorates a room? I don't think so. So, let's pay our rent and move in to Apartment 214. The episode starts with Tucker messing with the bag of sand and mocking other group members, still trying to figure his way out of how to fit into the Midnight Society. And with Tucker being a lot right now, they decide to postpone the next new member and let Kiki tell her story tonight. She launches into the tale of Apartment 214, and in the story itself, we see Stacy and her mom are moving into a cheap apartment after her mom and her dad are going through a separation period. While Stacy's moving boxes into the building, she complains about how cramped and small this new apartment is. And also, as she's loading boxes, she notices a creepy look from Apartment 214 with the door cracked and watching them.
That's it. That's the one from the title.
Do you think she knows that?
On some level, she has to.
Stacy and her mom are unpacking the car close to the apartment building when a man scares them and lets them know they need to move their car now. And this is the property manager, and we can tell right away that he's kind of a dick. That night, Stacy is out on the balcony reading a book when she hears a knock from the window next door. Getting creeped out by this, she walks back inside where she hears a knock at her door. She checks the peephole and doesn't see anything, but opens the door and hears a hum from Apartment 214. She starts walking towards it, almost enticed, when her mom stops her and tells her it's way too late to be wandering around the building.
So the room is kind of like a siren.
Also, like a siren, nothing good can come from wandering towards it. A stranger's apartment is a very dangerous place.
I'm always in danger.
The next day, Stacy is ultimately curious about what's going on in Apartment 214, so after school, she walks up to the door and kind of places her ear to it to see if she hears anybody inside. But she's caught by Angela, the girl from 212, that catches her being weird. Angela says that nobody lives in Apartment 214, as long as she's been there at least. Another day passes and Stacy walks home from school, seeing her mom hanging laundry on the balcony. As her mom walks back inside, she sees an old woman hanging out of the 214 balcony and rushes inside to see what's going on. Determined to introduce herself, Stacy bangs on the door to 214, but nobody answers. When she turns around, the door just mystically swings open, and she pops her head inside. And what does she see but an old woman preparing cups of tea and invites Stacy in.
That's not at all how I expected this to go.
I know, it's just a sweet old lady that wants to make tea.
How terrifying.
The old woman introduces herself as Meline, and shows her around her apartment and all the paintings she has on the wall that she painted herself. Meline lets Stacy know that she used to live with her nephew, who eventually got tired of her around and kind of kicked her out to start his own family, and she's just been living alone ever since. Stacy offers to be Madeline's friend, and over the next few days does things like get her groceries, or set up her apartment, or, just keep her company. One day, Meline makes Stacy promise her to visit her the next day. She says, whatever you do, you have to be here on this specific day. You have to promise. And Stacy does. That day arrives, and as Stacy goes to check the mail, the girl from 212, Angela, says that she has tickets to Battle of the Bands, which Stacy has been dying to get. She has an extra and invites Stacy to go with her, but they have to leave right now, and they'll be gone all day. This means that if Stacy goes to the Battle of the Bands, she will be breaking her promise to Meline. But Stacy really wants friends her own age, and she really wants to fit in with this new school, so she goes with Angela.
She really folded under zero pressure.
Maybe times were a little bit different back then, but all the Battle of the Bands that I've been to, it's not really been hard to get tickets to them. I mean, it's mostly just local bands that struggle to sell out shows anyway, so I don't know why these were so sought after.
If you can sell your own tickets, you probably don't need to do the battle.
Stacy gets home that night after the concert, and she can hear Madeline crying through the halls. So she walks into her apartment and sees her standing in the dark. Stacy gets closer to try and apologize, but Madeline jumps up and scares her, causing Stacy to run back and flip the lights on, and reveals there's nothing in the apartment. It's completely empty, and the door swings shut and locks her in. Stacy pounds on the door begging for someone to let her out, when the apartment manager finally does, and she rushes past him back home and then tells her mom, hey, Madeline's gone crazy. She's not there anymore. But Stacy's mom assures her that Madeline probably just moved out that day, and she's just feeling guilty and saw stuff. The next day, Stacy and her mom go to the apartment manager and ask what happened with Madeline in apartment 214, which the manager says nobody lives in apartment 214.
Whoa, it's a ghost!
Finally, something scary happened.
I guess so, but also the story could kind of just end here. I mean, we got sort of the twist in, a full story, but we still got a lot of episode left, so I guess we'll just see how it plays out. As the days went on, Stacy started to slowly get over her guilt for breaking her promise to Madeline, but still wishes Madeline would come around so she could at least apologize and explain what had happened. One night, Stacy's mom says she's going out on a date with Stacy's father to try and patch things up, so she leaves Stacy home alone. As Stacy's kicking back on the stormy night, she hears a knocking at the door and sees Madeline through the peephole. When she swings the door open, Madeline's not there. Stacy walks over to 214 to see if maybe she's just in the apartment, but finds nothing but a painting on the floor. As she stares at the painting, she starts to hallucinate, and then when she finally breaks her focus, she sees Madeline's apartment is all around her. Madeline lets Stacy know that she made Stacy promise to come around because it was the 10th anniversary of the day that she died, and she didn't want to do it alone again, and she really, really needed Stacy there. Stacy, scared out of her mind, rushes out of 214 and back to her apartment, where she locks the door. Sliding under the door is a piece of paper that asks why she broke her promise. And Stacy's really scared now, and then she sees Madeline through the window watching her.
Oh shit, she's gonna get haunted.
A real bad haunting, it seems. She can morph rooms at will, like a psychoactive effect. That's a strong ghost right there.
He can also create tea out of thin air.
Stacy runs to Angela's apartment to try and get her help, but nobody answers. Eventually, the apartment manager makes her stop and tells her she's disrupting people and to go home. As Stacy turns to go home, she notices she left her door wide open, and her dog runs out of her apartment and into 214. Stacy goes to get the dog, apparently forgetting Madeline is still a ghost inside the apartment. But when Stacy sees Madeline again, she apologizes and explains why she broke her promise. Says she just wants to make friends that are her age. Madeline, seeing the value in making friends, decides to forgive her for this. Stacy asks why Madeline's still here. Why does she want to live in this apartment this whole time? To which she says she's scared and alone. This is all she knows. She's stuck in her ways. She doesn't want to break out of here because she doesn't know what's on the other side. Stacy comes up with a plan and gets her mom to move into 214 at a steeply reduced price due to ghost infestation. This gives Madeline a family to live with yet again. And the story is over. We go back to the Midnight Society and we see that Tucker says it was a good story. And then everybody goes off, but then leaves Gary alone to notice that Tucker kind of stole all the stuff. The water bucket, the sand, everything. It's all gone. And then that ends the episode. So Stacy solved the ghost issue by agreeing to move her mother and herself in with the ghost, but is that really solving anything? Or is that just kind of kicking the can down the road as far as the ghost problem is?
What do you mean?
Well, Stacy's like 12 years old. She's not going to live in this tiny apartment forever. I mean, what happens after high school? Does she move out and go to college? Does the ghost just stay there with her mom? What if her mom and her dad get back together and they move out of the apartment entirely? I mean, they're going to have to bring this up again within like a few years. So it's not really anything.
It's a band-aid solution at best.
I don't want to be like a downer, but Madeline really needs to learn to move on. That's the only real solution to this problem. But maybe in the years that Stacy and her mom actually do live there with her, she can kind of grow to do that. We can hope.
I guess if that's what you need to tell yourself.
But the episode itself was a pretty nice change of pace from the normal haunted neighbor tropes we've seen so far in Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, where Madeline acted a lot different than I had anticipated her to. For the majority of the episode, she wasn't outwardly angry, and she didn't hold a grudge when she learned why Stacy broke her promise. She was really understanding and seemed to want to work with Stacy to, be friends. And really, she's not like a vengeful ghost or a haunting ghost like we normally see. She's more of a scared old lady. That being said, the moment immediately after breaking the promise where she was doing a full haunting was the scariest part of the episode, and it really salvaged a lot of the horror part of this story. I mean, there was a ghost there, but it wasn't like a scary ghost for the most part. But that part where she was like showing up in the windows and like sliding paper, like that was pretty atmospheric and creepy. All that being said, the tale of Apartment 214 was a fun spin on the classic haunted neighbor episode, and for that, I'm going to give this 3 rent payments out of 5 lease agreements. Check it out. And if you move into a new building, you'll want to make sure that your neighbors are real people. I mean, if your landlord or property manager or whatever tells you that nobody lives there and you actually see someone there, it's probably a squatter or some kind of hobo. And I mean, depending on the situation, if they're not bothering anybody, why not? But if they're trying to lure you into that apartment with like songs and tea or whatever they're brewing, maybe give someone a heads up. And that's the life lesson we take away from this episode. So I'll see you guys next time on Scared of the Dark.
I still don't understand why it's cheaper than 213.
You get a discount living with ghosts.
You watch too much TV.